Max, thank you very much. It's a privilege for me to be here. It's an honor, certainly to be back at my alma mater as the incoming athletic director. There are a lot of things in my life that I think I planned for. This was not necessarily one of them, but it's one of those great unexpected outcomes, I think, that I'm looking forward to, and I think I've been building for a long period of time. A couple of things I'd just like to say. Certainly I'd like to thank President Nikias and to everyone who is here today. I am thrilled to be back at my alma mater as its leader in the athletic program, and it's a job I feel like I'm prepared for my entire career. Over the next few months, my wife and I, Charin and I, will be relocating to Los Angeles, and I'm thrilled that my youngest son, Braxton, will attend USC this fall. We called our older son, Schaefer, at West Point. We said, how are things going? And he said, well, I'm having a little West Point fun today. As you might imagine, that's a little different than having USC fun. He was very thrilled and excited that his dad was taking this job. But I want to stress to you that today's announcement isn't so much about me, but what I hope we can achieve together. What motivated me to take this job were the young men and young women at USC. I think our young people need to be inspired. I think they need to be given a path that will give them the tools to reach whatever it is they want to accomplish. It's great to have a dream. More important, to have the tools to make that dream come true. And I think our students here are exceptional. I am not here to clean house or to make overwhelming changes on the coaching staff or the staff here. I think there's a great team in place, and we're going to move it forward. I've enjoyed over the years watching the USC football team and all of its sports teams win championships. I love the fact that we just got women's beach volleyball, and we already have a national championship there. I had an opportunity today to meet Clay, and I think he's going to do an outstanding job as a head coach of our football team, and he has 100% of my support to make that happen. Our success doesn't stop there with football, women's beach volleyball. Our men's basketball team had a fantastic year. Andy Fielder's not here. He's out recruiting. I talked to him a little bit. Actually, I gave him the needle a little bit. I told him, great to see him in the playoffs. I know he wanted to go farther, but I said, so Andy, were you a little concerned about who the next athletic director was going to be? That you had to walk over to Max's office and get a 2-year extension before I got here? Yeah, he laughed too. USC's standard is to win national championships, and that's exactly what we're going to do, win national championships. I have 3 goals for the student athletes here. One is to graduate. Certainly when Pat, as athletic director here, he raised those standards and raised the graduation rates, and we'll continue to do that. 2 is to win. I believe it's important to win. I believe you practice, you play, you work to win, to be number 1, not to be number 2 or 3. If you're working to be number 1, you're going to get the most out of yourself and the most out of your program. Anybody who's working to be less than number 1 is going to get less than what they're capable of. So we will push these teams to be national champions and to be the best that they can be. And the third thing is for them to experience. What I mean by that is college and the 4 or 5 years you're at a university should be about your personal experiences, should be about growth and development. Yes, it's education, but it's education beyond the classroom and beyond the walls. It's about meeting people from all over the world. When I came here to USC, I'd never traveled, but we had an international campus, and you could be in a different country just by walking 30 yards and meeting a new student on campus at USC. We have wonderful professors here who took subject matter and made it come to life for me when I was here. Dr. Kenneth Aller-Smith was head of the PR department at USC, and he was one of those men that made education come to life. My parents always believed in education. My parents came from Tennessee, a little town outside of Knoxville, Alcoa, Tennessee. They moved to California in 1954 when I was only 2 years old. Spent all my summers in Tennessee until I was 12. But my parents moved to California because they wanted one thing. They wanted a better opportunity and a better education for their children. They wanted us to have a chance to grow and experience things. My dad never went to college. My mom had a junior college degree. My mom worked in the attendance office at Aragon High School in San Mateo, California. To this day, there are people who walk up to me and tell me, Mr. Swann, thank God for your mother. You know, I was late for school. She got on me. She made me go to class. She made sure I showed up. Okay? That's my family's background. My dad was a custodian. There are still people who said my dad was the nicest guy, always had kind words to say to them when he was working at school and moving it forward. I called my mom and told her, I didn't tell my parents until last night or until Tuesday night that I was taking this job because my parents can't keep a secret. My mom simply said, oh, God bless you, son. I finally got one of my 3 children back in California. You know, I was playing professional football for 9 years. You know, I never expected to be a professional football player. You know, I thought I was going to be a lawyer or an actor, or maybe that's all the same thing. But I really didn't expect to be a professional athlete. So for me, it was important to have my degree and figure out what else I wanted to do. So after playing football, realizing that, you know, maybe I'd play for a little more than 4 years, I still looked at other opportunities and actually decided broadcasting would be a good place for me to go. Tried my hand at broadcasting, liked it, but instead of just trying to go out and get a job, what I did was I came back and took graduate courses here at USC in radio and television production. Believed that in order to succeed, I would have to come back and get that skill, train myself, be prepared to move forward in that career. So after that, and working at KBC TV in Los Angeles for several off seasons, I got a contract to work for ABC in the off season. And when I retired after 9 years, I didn't retire because I couldn't play football anymore. I didn't retire because I didn't necessarily want to play football anymore. I retired because I was prepared for an opportunity that was presented to me by ABC to take a career in broadcasting. And so I spent 30 years in broadcasting as a result. You know, this is what I want for the kids at USC. I want them to be prepared to take advantage of opportunities that are presented to them in their life. Whether it be in sports, if they're fortunate enough to go on and play at a professional level, that's great. But you all know that the odds of that happening is very small. And so to get that education and to find the other avenues, sports-related maybe, that they can move into, but have the tools and the skills to move on is what we're trying to accomplish here and what we want to give those young men and women. These are values that I preserve and I bring to this job as the AD. You know, I spent 30 years working with Big Brothers and Big Sisters of America. As Max said, we had over 300 agencies across the U.S. impacting more than 250,000 children at any one time. With their matches, that's 500,000 people. Trying to make sure that they had an opportunity, that they were tutored, that they were mentored, and be able to see a different outcome than the ones that they were living in. And my goal is to continue to open these doors at USC. Pat Hayden did a great job while he was here at USC. Graduation rates are up. There are some difficult moments and issues that he took care of. I talked with Pat. He offered his help and insight into taking over at this job. I spent some time this morning with the staff. Had a great opportunity to talk with Steve Lopes and get on the same page with him. As I told Steve and I told several other people, I'm not coming to this job thinking I have all the answers. I'm coming here to work with an established team of people that have done a great job. I will learn from them. I will find out how we can do things better as we move forward, and I will take their suggestions on how to do it. I will be very inclusive as we move forward. But the ultimate goal is to make sure we take care of the kids, to give them an environment that protects them, that nurtures them, and gives them an opportunity to be open and free, discuss ideas, and to grow. So again, my 3 goals are to educate, to win national championships, and to provide experiences for the young men and women here at the University of Southern California. And so I want to thank everyone here. I want to thank President Nikias, and including the Provost Mike Quick, for their support, for me to be the new athletic director at the University of Southern California. But most important, I want to thank my wife for her support to be able to move to California and take this job. If you have any questions, we'll handle a few and go from there. So I have to tell you, it is a little funny and kind of turnaround that now I'm the guy that you'll be interviewing, as opposed to me interviewing everybody else. Jim?
First of all, welcome back to Los Angeles. How surprised are you at being recruited back to SC again? And as the president mentioned, how do you feel about this long list of people that you beat out for this position, including President Obama?
Well, I can say if I beat the president, I guess I'm the first one to beat him in the race. Very, very happy about that. Look, it's not so much beating out anyone. I think certainly this is a job that a lot of people would love to have. There's some great opportunities here, some great challenges, but I think there's some great opportunities to grow and be a part of a great institution. Max Nikias, the president, had an idea of what he was looking for. He talked to a lot of different people. I was glad that he came to me. I was not expecting this, but as my wife sat down and I sat down and we discussed it and looked at it, it seemed to fit in so many ways. As I said, all the things I've done in my life leading up to this point seem to be pointing me in this direction. And so I hope I can be that valued asset to the young men and women on this campus and to this program, and to help this program continue to grow.
Had you expressed interest in someone else that led Max to come to you?
Yeah, I did not. There were several people actually that called and said, "You ought to be the athletic director." I said, "Yeah, thank you very much, I'm sure," and it just kind of went on. There were people that tweeted about it and so forth. I was just in Augusta, Georgia at the Masters, and coincidentally, Gene Washington, the great receiver for the San Francisco 49ers and Stanford grad, walked right by me, waved, I waved to him, stopped in his tracks, ran back to where I was standing, and he just looked at me straight in the eye and he said, "You ought to be the next athletic director at USC." So I think many cases, people see things in you that they admire and that they want to have as a part of a program. You may not be looking for it at that particular moment, but if you keep your eyes open, and if you're willing to explore, if you don't say no right away, if you listen to people, maybe there's an opportunity. And listening to Max and talking with Nick Brill, having him come visit me at my home, talking to several other people, this became more than an opportunity. And I called a friend of mine, a guy named Howard Slusher, who was my attorney. And I talked to Howard and I said, "Howard," and he works with Phil Knight at Nike, and I said, "Howard, you've known me a long time. You know, there's a possibility I could be offered the job at the University of Southern California." We talked about it, and he said, "Everything I know about you says that you'd be right for this job." We sometimes see ourselves one way. Sometimes it's good to get somebody else's perspective. So I feel very comfortable being here today. I don't think I'm going to be the smartest guy in the room every time we sit down and try and figure something out. So I'll be very inclusive as we try and build a great program and continue to build on the foundation that's Trojan Athletics.
Then you've got new facilities in football we're in right now. We've got renovation at the Coliseum, new basketball arena, and two coaches in basketball or football that have either been recently hired or recently extended. So what do you bring to make sure that you're building and not just being a manager here?
Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with being a manager. I think all too often people get a job and say, "All right, I want to do things my way." What I've seen in corporate America is those people don't last very long, okay? It's important that you manage every day to get the best out of the team that's here. So yes, I will be managing on a daily basis. Where there are opportunities to grow and to create better facilities, exceptional things, we'll continue to do that. We won't stop doing that. We've got some big projects on the board, so we'll continue to move that. And certainly I think Andy Infill has done a great job in basketball and moving it forward. I think he was deserving of that 2-year extension. I live in Pittsburgh. I saw he was moving to come into Pittsburgh to be interviewed by the University of Pittsburgh. I had my spies out there. I was checking it out.
Where are some of these areas where you think that there's potential for growth?
Well, I think certainly you look at football as being certainly the number one asset of the athletic department in terms of revenue and success. I think basketball, you've got a great opportunity to grow it. And for years, we've watched a basketball program. They've got a great facility here at the Galen Center. I think there's some great opportunities there. But we've got outstanding Olympic sports across the board. We've got to engage more people, even our own student athletes, engage them more to be a part of that audience, engage the alumni to be a part of that audience, and bring them out. We've got a good marketing program, so I'll work with those people to try and make improvements there. Yes. I beg your pardon? Oh, I'm not trying to compare myself to Pat. I think that would be a mistake. You know, what I intend to do is get here, learn from the staff, communicate. Certainly, I believe communication is critical in terms of moving forward. You know, as I said to the staff and folks here, you know, it's bad if we're thinking A, B, C, and then by the time the kids get it, it's D, E, and F. So we have to be clear about the communication, what we want to achieve, and how we want to achieve it.
By the end of your first year, that could be one of the most high-profile court cases involving the NCAA and a former USC coach here in LA. What's your take on how the NCAA and the USC situation went down, and how do you handle something like that if there is that really big trial in LA?
Well, my take is that all happened before I got here. And the university attorneys and all those folks will take care of it. It's not my position to comment on the ongoing litigation. I think what I've seen over the years with executives and CEOs and politicians, everything across the board, is that you're very often kind of measured by how you handle difficult situations, not the day-to-day. We hope not to have them. I'm sure they'll occur, and I'll work with the staff. I had a very good meeting with Dave Roberts in terms of compliance. And Dave Roberts has been one of the most outstanding, I think, hires for Max Nikias in the athletic department. Comes from a different area, but has put in a program that's been one of the best in the country. And so I will work very closely with him. No sense in reinventing the wheel when you've got something that's working extraordinarily well.
Can you tell us a little bit frame of mind first that you got the job at that we kind of talked about it on the mind was your 80s?
My frame of reference when I first heard I got the job, it's interesting because there are some things that you can never lose, and once that competitive gear starts to kick in, there's no stopping it. Okay, so once I had talked with folks and talked with my wife and thought and figured that I wanted this job and I wanted to be that guy, then there was the expectation I was going to get that job. Okay, and so now I put my skis out over the edge. I said, okay, I'm going for this. And so getting the job and Max offering me the contract became kind of, okay, that's the way it's supposed to happen. And so it was great. I was excited. But I began, certainly as a competitor, to say, okay, I've got the starting job now. Now my job is to identify the weakness in the defense, see what I have to do to exploit it, to make it better, and to win. And so that'll begin the process here, talking with the staff and the folks at USC to make sure the program stays on top.
Let's do two more, and then we'll break into one-on-one.
Talked about communication earlier. How do you feel like it's effective to communicate with today's student athletes?
Well, first of all, is to engage them, bring them in, talk to them. I had a chance to talk to a number of the student leaders today. Told them a little bit about my background, wanted to hear from them about the things that were important to them. And I will do that on an ongoing basis. I think it's important to do. So that's how I plan to communicate with them. But I will also communicate with them through their coaches and through the athletic department staff. There are a variety of other things we need to make sure they understand in terms of the rules and compliance and behavior. There's an expectation of behavior that we'll pass on to them, and we'll make sure that we communicate that so it's clear. We don't want our student athletes walking out into the world not understanding what we expect of them. If we do a bad job of communicating and they don't understand, then that's our fault. And so we want to make sure we do that well.
One last one.
It's obviously a new experience for you. You don't have previous experience in the athletic department. What about yourself makes you think that you can make this work?
I didn't quite hear all that.
What about yourself? What attributes do you feel that you have that you can, make the situation work despite your lack of
Number one, that I listen. I think that's an important aspect of leadership that people don't understand. Number two, I think I know myself well enough. In business, when you sit as a director of a company, very often you have the executives go through a 360 evaluation. It's not just what you think of yourself. It's what other people think of you and how you work with those other people. I've engaged in the process to understand what my skill sets are and how I work well and how I don't work well. And so I'll use that moving it forward with this particular staff and team to be able to accomplish our goals. Beyond listening, I'm not afraid to make a decision. When I was head of Big Brothers and Big Sisters of America, and again, more than 300 agencies, we were considered a kind of feel-good organization. You know, you're mentoring kids, many of them from single-family homes. So it felt good to be a mentor. You know, we weren't a tutorial program. We weren't a drug prevention program. We weren't, a behavioral program. We're a mentoring program. But we undertook a program to do a scientific study of Big Brothers and Big Sisters of America in terms of, okay, what are we actually getting done? What's our real impact? Now, that was a risk. That was a huge risk for a national organization that had respect across the country, because the information could come back and say, you have no impact. Yes, everybody feels good about what you do, but the end result is you're not really having an impact. But we undertook it because I felt like if we're asking people for money, especially the government, and we didn't ask the government for a lot of money every once in a while, but we had to be accountable. And so we undertook the survey and found our program was far and away, the best program when it comes to mentoring, in terms of our kids doing better in school, our kids having better grades, better behavior programs, better behavioral results, less likely to abuse alcohol and drugs. All of these things were measured out, and we came out on top. And so I believe that, we have to continue to move forward in that way. I will take risks. They will be calculated risks. They will be risks that we take to move forward, challenge our student athletes, build a better program, and get the best out of the people working there. So I look forward to those challenges. I look forward to working with all of you. And let me just close by saying this, okay? This is not about me. Yes, I'm going to be the athletic director at the University of Southern California, but this is always about the kids. I hope that we do a good job here. I hope that if you come knocking on my door, it's just because you want to have a casual conversation. I hope that our football program, our basketball program, our Olympic sports, our kids are winning, having great success, and you'll be talking to our coaches, you'll be talking to our players about great performances on the field, doing great things in the community, graduating, achieving wonderful things, winning honors. It's about them, and that's what I want to make this program about. So thank you. I appreciate your time. Fight on.